Welcome to this video presentation on the exoSwitch constraint and its masking feature. We are going to demonstrate here to you today some of the exciting features about masking configurations using our exoSwitch constraint. And instead of talking about them, why don't we actually show them to you? So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a base simple constraint system just using these two cubes. So we're going to select the two cubes, and under the constraint menu, exoSwitch, and what you'll see is we have a normal directional constraint here. One point to note is rotation, that you will see that the exoSwitch constraint acts a lot like Maya's parent constraint, in that when you rotate it, you are affecting the translation and rotation parts of the driven node, and that's going to come into play when we talk about masks. Okay, so what are masks? It's a feature that we're really excited about because you can reconfigure the constraint and how it affects its member transforms based on which configuration the constraint is supposed to pay attention to. So in order to do that, we're going to create a mask. So let's go ahead and do that. First thing you want to do is over on the exoSwitch constraint shelf, you've got this second to left green button with a little mask there, and we're going to go ahead and click on that, and it opens up a UI for you. And within this interface, under the configs menu, we can create new mask configurations, remove them, copy them. We can also print out the relationships of different members within a mask so we can kind of understand who's driving what and who's masking what. So let's just go with the first thing, which is kind of creating a new mask configuration. And what I'm going to call this is no trans Y. And what I'm going to do is I want the green cube to follow the blue cube whenever it does any movement, except for I don't want the green cube to come when the blue cube translates in Y. So Z is good, X is good, but anytime I translate the blue cube in Y, I want the green cube to stay exactly where it's at. So in order to create that within the mask, here's what we're going to do. We're going to work with these four columns here. We're going to work from the left to the right. We have our driver node, and in our case it's the blue cube, and the driver channels. In this particular mask, our driver channel is the translate Y channel. And notice that the rest of these columns, the mask node and the mask channels, get filtered out for you. So since the green cube is the only other driven node in the system, it's the only one listed here under the mask nodes and the mask channel. So what we're going to do is we're going to say that the blue cube's translate Y is going to mask the green cube's translate Y. So what that means is immediately if I start to move the blue cube in Y, I do not get any transformation applied onto the green cube's translate Y. However, if I do X, there we go, and if I do Z, there we go as well. So this is the most simplistic example of an incredibly powerful feature, to where based on the mask configurations, you can kind of change up on the fly how you want the constraint to behave in regards to, depending on which driver is the current driver, how it affects all of the other driven nodes. Now, there's one very interesting thing that we've done here, is that we've added a marking menu to the mask configuration so that all of the mask configurations that you create are listed on this marking menu. On the Mac, I'm holding down the Option and the right mouse button, and you'll see that we can set the mask to none or to the mask we just created, which is no trans Y. So the cool thing about this is that every mask, every constraint comes with a mask configuration of none, which is basically the default behavior. So I can go back and forth. So now if I change my mask to none, when I translate Y, I get the green cube to follow. If I am up here and I want to change my mask, there we go. I'm going to go to the no trans Y, and I've applied this mask. So some of the other things that we can do with this is we can set the system to the rest state. There you go. Or we can set the mask back to none and set it to the rest. We can also set a particular node to the translation rotation master. So I'm going to Option right click on the green cube, and it picks it up that it's part of the constraint system. And I'll set this one to the translation and rotation master. So there we go. So mask configurations are a really cool way to where we can start affecting how transforms work with one another. So let's say that this green cube, I don't want at all this cube to be affected by rotation. So let's go ahead and try that one out by creating a new mask for this particular driver. So we're going to create a new mask config. Let's say no blue cube trans. So we'll create that, and it switches it for you automatically. You can even see here on the constraint, this is a good thing to point out at this point in time, is that in the channel box there's an attribute called current mask. And if you pull this down, you can see all of the different masks that are on that constraint. So let's go ahead and set this one up, that when the green cube does any form of translation, the blue cube is not going to translate at all. So if I take my green cube now and I translate it around, I get the blue cube not moving at all, as if it was disabled. We do have the ability to disable nodes on the constraint. There's some video tutorials out there about that. But let's start rotating this, and notice what happens is that you've basically created an Orient constraint now with the exoSwitch constraint. So instead of acting like a parent constraint, now it acts much more like just a straight Orient constraint, where I translate this and no effect occurs. But if I rotate it, then I'm getting the same effect as an Orient constraint. So this is a pretty neat feature of our exoSwitch constraint, in that we can dynamically re-rig nodes involved in the exoSwitch constraint and how they are affecting one another. So let's go back to set our mask to none, and now when we rotate this, we basically get the parent constraint effect. So it's a pretty neat feature. We're going to also create another video to kind of show some more advanced concepts on creating masks. Thank you for watching.